Welcome into the Sullivan Speakeasy. Today we have some hot and medium takes of the whiskey world from me to you. If you're new to the channel and appreciate the content, would love a subscription. Comment down below a take you have about bourbon and whiskey and all that it encompasses. Reminder that I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well at Sullivan Speakeasy. Let's run the video. And sort of a disclaimer, I've never run a business or a distillery or anything like that. And some of the takes today involve pricing, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm a little ignorant to a lot of how businesses are run. If you work for a distillery and want to, give me a little more insight, would appreciate that. Leave a comment, but let's get into it. All right, so I have three takes or thoughts on some situations for this video. I think you can probably consider them maybe more medium takes because they're not original, they're not flaming hot or anything like that, but I think just an overall kind of thought on the state of bourbon and my take on it is pricing, especially for limited time offerings, has got a little bit out of control. And now I understand, the rumor is companies want to get their cut of secondary and all that stuff, and I get that, but you have just, $150, $200, $300, $400 for these limited time offerings. And most of the time they're probably good juice, but I think the most notable example of last year was all the buff turkey coming out. And yeah, it's 14, 15, 16 year, buff turkey, that whole story. But for $300, $400, $500, I think three different ones. They were good. There one that I didn't like that much. But none of them I would have been like, yes, sign me up for a $400 bottle in MSRP. Absolutely crazy. I know, and y'all know I love Michter's, but even their limited time, their 10-year bourbon and rye are close to $200 now for, again, a 10-year bourbon and rye. Again, it's really good. I'm always going to have a bottle of each. I'll always pay because I love Michter's, but even like their toasted sour mash is $100 versus their regular sour mash is $50. That is crazy. And I'm going to get into Woodford and Old Forester here in a second, but I think they're really bad with it too. And, I think the only couple brands that I would really pay for, their retail and their limited, obviously any BTAC or Pappy, and I think those are the most fairly priced for the Pappy and the BTAC, right? And you can argue maybe Pappy 20 and 23, but at least for the BTAC, $150 for each, great price. The wild turkey stuff, I'm expecting that cheesy gold foil this year to be $600, $700, $800, right? The Russell's 13 used to be under $100, now it's $200. The Russell's 15 was $250. When it comes out again, might be $300. Who knows? I just think these limited time offering prices gotta get pulled in a little bit, and it's frustrating. My next take is I don't like Woodford Reserve outside of double oaked, and I'll be clear when I'm saying that it is most to do with their pricing. This double oaked is fantastic. It's one of the best double oaks on the market. It's $60, $65, especially if you get a store pick like this one. It is really wonderful juice, but everything else about Woodford is just kind of blah to me, right? Like the regular Woodford, it's fine, but here in a control state, it's $36 for retail, but I can go get Buffalo Trace, which is way more available now, for $4 or $5 less, and I think Buffalo Trace is better than Woodford, right? And the big thing with Woodford is their limited time offerings, right? Their batch proof and all their limited stuff and above start at $120 and just go up, right? And I've tried some of the batch proof stuff. I've tried the 5 malt. I've tried a lot of those limited offerings. They're fine. Like, it's not bad juice. Maybe that 5 malt was not that great, but like the batch proof stuff's good. Am I paying $140 for it? No, right? When I can go get a Stag Junior for $60, $70 here in North Carolina, right? I know it's a little harder to find, I get that, but and then obviously the whole thing with the double oak last year, you're doubling the oak for $140 more than what this is, and that's one I haven't had yet, but I've heard it's fine. It's just not even worth even $100, right? And obviously they have their batch proof, barrel proof double oak now. I tried that. Again, it's fine. It's good. But is it $40 better than the normal double oaked? Not even close. So Woodford for me is just, they just don't do it for me anymore. Besides this double oaked. Yeah, and that leads me to my last little take or opinion on something. And again, this might not be new, but given my take on it, is I think Old Forester's limited stuff has fallen off big time. And obviously by that, we're talking about, President's Choice, Birthday Bourbon. You can lump King Kentucky. I know that's technically Brown-Forman, but we all think it's Old Forester, right? I think besides normal King Kentucky, right, the 16, 17 year single barrels, they're $400 retail. Those are fantastic. I've tried a couple. They're some of the best bourbon out there. Those are fine. But when it comes to the President's Choice, I'm going to start with President's Choice. I have it in front of me. I got this for retail around $225 plus tax. And I'm great. Like, I wanted President's Choice. I've always wanted one. And this rye is fantastic. It's just under, it's 9 years and 9 months old, but not even a 10-year for $225. That's kind of crazy. You're pricing it way higher than a BTAC. And is this rye excellent? It absolutely is. It's very good. Would I buy this over any BTAC? No. Maybe SAS 18. Also, these are 700 ml bottles now, right? You got a full-size 1910, versus a smaller President's Choice. If I'm paying premium price for your limited time offerings, I want a full bottle, right? I get the whole, international markets thing, but and that's again where I don't know how businesses are running all that stuff. But if I'm getting a premium offering, I want the full bottle, and that's where same thing with the Birthday Bourbon, right? I've tried I think 3 different batches since 2019. They're pretty good. They're good, right? Don't get me wrong. They're good. I want a bottle to have because it's a cool bottle to have. And whenever I have kids, I want to get one for their birth year. But those bottles are now 700. Those proof, which is another take for another time, but the proofs are so low. Not that it's got to be barrel proof, but when I'm paying $250 for a Birthday Bourbon, I want a little oomph on it, And the whole thing with the King of Kentucky, the junior ones that they released this year, I haven't had those yet, but everyone I know and trust their palate say they're not good. They're not even, obviously they're not worth $300 MSRP. And, they kind of diluted the King of Kentucky brand. You can say, oh, we're doing that to get more bottles to more people. Me personally, I would rather you just make the King Kentucky like you normally are. I might have a lesser chance of getting it, but I'd rather know if I got a King Kentucky, it's gonna be good. So those are kind of my 3 takes today. That limited time pricing is kind of wild. Woodford Reserve is outside of the double oak is not good at all, and Old Forester limited stuff has fallen off. So again, comment down below your hot, medium, cold takes. Let me know in the comments. I hope you all have a great day.